Hyundai starting lineup for the Rays. Day off for Wander Franco, their 22-year-old shortstop, and with Yandy Diaz still out of the lineup with a groin injury. He's missed the whole series. He's the American League batting leader. A little bit diminished Rays lineup, but even diminished, they are powerful. Leading scoring team in the majors, most home runs in the majors, and they've got Manuel Margot, the Met killer, hitting ninth.
And the Toyota numbers right there on Tylor Megill, coming off a real hard-earned victory last time out. This would be nice for him to back up a nice start here with that win last night against the Major League's league-leading record Tampa Bay Rays. They got an impressive lineup here. I have been so impressed up and down the lineup with their at-bats. And your Metsy Lexi defense, Michael Perez, 4 for 4, coming out of the chute behind the plate. Excuse me. Pete Alonso Escobar is third start at Segunda Base. Pham out in left gear. Pham against a right-hander. Pham, that's his 11th start in left field. I'll get it right.
Lexi, is that a new car brand?
Did I say Lexi?
We know it as Lexus. It's a luxury brand, much coveted. Well, the Rays scored 7 runs last night in their loss. They lead the major leagues in runs scored and in batting average and in home runs and in on base and in slugging. They even took over the lead in steals last night. They stole 7 bases in their loss. Josh Lowe leads off, 2 for 9 in the series. Tylor Megill set to go. First pitch of the day is fouled off and we're underway. Megill will try to negotiate the first inning, which has been a struggle for him. Gave up a run in Washington, walking a couple in the first inning. He's given up 7 runs in the first inning in his 8 starts this year, and this has been a team-wide phenomenon. That's giving up tons of first inning runs and scoring very few. Ball and a strike to Lowe, who's playing right field again today. Randy Arozarena hitting second, and then Harold Ramirez against Megill, who pitched the home opener for the Mets and threw 6 terrific innings against the Marlins that day. And he misses up and away with a fastball. Mark Vientos and Francisco Alvarez both starting this game in the dugout after their heroics yesterday.
Well, I'll say one thing for Alvarez. You know, he hasn't really torn the cover off the ball, but he's up there still swinging that bat.
Certainly as clutch and at bat as you could ask for, with the Mets down to their final out in the 9th inning last night.
And I really liked the 2 at bats from Mark Vientos last night. What I saw last year was a little bit of a slow bat. Whatever changes he's made, he had a quick bat last night.
Megill behind the leadoff hitter, 3-1, and he attacks him with a fastball, and Lowe takes it the other way, and that'll go into the left field corner for an extra base hit. So Josh Lowe starts the afternoon with a leadoff double. Second double in the series, his 11th of the year.
We are seeing, look at this, fastball away and going with the pitch, not trying to pull it. And we've seen so much of it this year, Gary. Opposite field base hits, and not just little flares. Balls that are driven to the opposite field gap or down the line. Seeing a lot of it this year. Hitters making adjustments.
Now Randy Arozarena, who's just 1 for 8 in this series, starts the day 6th in the American League in batting, 6th in home runs, 4th in RBIs, top 10 in almost every category. And Megill misses inside with a fastball, ball 1. This is what's plagued Megill, falling behind in the count. What he did in his last start against a very aggressive Nationals team was go to his curveball more than he ever had before. But he's got to establish his fastball first. And having trouble throwing it for strikes early on. Now he tries a slider, and that's way out of the strike zone. I talked to Megill about that last start, and he said that the game plan was to throw more curveballs because the Nats like to swing early. They do chase a lot, and they wound up swinging and missing at 7 of his curveballs in that game. Arozarena tops one slowly. Beatty will barehand it. He has no play, and runners are safe at first and third. So a rocky beginning for Megill. He got weak contact from Arozarena, but it's an infield hit, and runners are at the corners with nobody out.
Well, you can smell a hit when you hit a little bleeder like this.
Now we'll see if the Rays pick up where they left off on the base paths last night. Rosarena had one of their 7 stolen bases in the game. Harold Ramirez DHing today. He's had a fine series, 4 for 6 with 3 RBIs. Came off the bench yesterday and had the base hit in extra innings. And he takes a slider off the plate for ball 1.
And one thing Tampa has done, Tampa Bay, is they've hit in the clutch. They come into this game and they came into the series as a team hitting .276 with runners in scoring position.
Mets have the infield back at double play depth, willing to concede a run to get 2 outs. And Ramirez fouls off the fastball, 1-1. 7 steals by the Rays last night, a season high in the major leagues, and only 1 shy of their club record. Also 1 shy of the most the Mets have ever given up in a game. But the Mets won the ball game. Can't survive 7 steals every night, though. And a swing and a miss at a fastball. And McGill up in the count on Ramirez, 1-2.
And once again, defensively, Escobar, we're seeing it so much without the shifts. They're leaving that one side of the infield wide open, and that's the right side of the infield, with Escobar playing just to the right side of second base.
So the umpire and crew, C.B. Buckner, calling the balls and strikes today. 1-2 coming, and a bouncing ball right near the bag at second. Escobar steps and fires, too late as the run comes home. Escobar crossing over to get to the ball, and with Lindor going over to back him up, Escobar had to take it himself, and that didn't leave him enough time to double up Ramirez. Lowe comes in to score, and it's 1-0 Tampa Bay.
And nicely done. You want to get that lead runner, get him out of scoring position. Yeah, clearly beat it by a step.
So McGill nicked in the first inning again. Here's Brandon Lau, who hit a home run last night, and he checks the swing. He went around, 0-1. So the Mets have now been outscored 38-9 in the first inning this year. And for McGill, the 8th first inning run he's allowed in his 9 starts. Wow, it's a double play ball right at Escobar. The backhand flip to Lindor, and the rest is easy. The 4-6-3 double play gets McGill through the inning. Rays get as the best hitter on the planet. He's batting 1,000, 4 for 4 in his first start in Washington. Brett Beatty hits 5th. Tommy Pham in there against a right-hander, as Keith mentioned, and there is the rookie right-hander Taj Bradley.
Started out in the minor leagues and called up, had 3 starts, then sent right down. Didn't pitch well, we mentioned in the open. 4-seam fastball, sinker, curveball. I say his changeup is a work in progress.
Brandon Nimmo fighting a slump right now, 0 for his last 13. With the Rays scoring in the first inning, that is 12 straight games now where the Mets opponent has scored first. This team has been behind every day. Nimmo starts the day 9th in the National League in on-base percentage despite the recent struggles. Batting average ticked just below 300 at .299. Meanwhile, the Mets haven't scored in the first inning in 9 straight games. They've only scored 9 runs in 44 games in the first inning this year. Bradley behind 2-0, and he gets the fastball in for a strike. Taj Bradley, just 22 years old, born in Los Angeles, grew up in Georgia. Drafted out of high school by the Rays in 2018. And he misses with slider, cutter, and it's 3-1. When you consider that Bradley was not a pitcher until his senior year in high school, he has not been pitching for all that long. And he gets that fastball in for a strike, 3-2.
So you know he has a great arm, because they always find someone with a great arm, they'll move him to the mound.
He was an outfielder throughout his amateur days until his senior year in high school. Nimmo fouls off the fastball at 96.
Like Josiah Gray of the Nationals was a shortstop, and he's kind of developing into quite a nice little pitcher.
Lindor on deck, 3-2 to Nimmo, leading off. And Brandon goes down swinging on a high fastball, and Bradley has a strikeout to start his day.
And your Rays defense, Betancourt behind the plate, Rayleigh at first base. His 6th start at first base. That's Isaac Paredes at third base, folks. That's the proper pronunciation. Just thought I'd throw that in there for kicks. And that is brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center.
Very well done.
Oh, I can take a deep breath now.
I know how stressful that was.
My heart was pounding.
Well, you know, change is difficult, Keith, and normally you read the sponsor before you do the defense. This time you did it after the defense.
All right, we had a wiffle ball on the field yesterday. Now we got a regular baseball. Yes.
I had nothing to say.
Neither do I. We'll go back to the game.
See ya.
Bye, folks.
Lindor 3 for 9 in this series. There's Kodai Senga, who had the best strikeout performance by a Met this year. Fan 12 in 6 innings last night in his most impressive start.
He was brilliant. You know, he threw all of his pitches for strikes. So I think we finally saw the Kodai Senga the Mets prized so much. And it took him into his 8th start.
And Lindor takes that one upstairs, and Bradley getting behind his first couple of hitters. As Keith mentioned, Bradley won his first 3 starts. His last big league start was April 24th against the Astros. He has not walked people in the big leagues. There's a strike 3 and 1. Only 2 walks in 15 and a third innings coming in, but he struggled mightily after going back to the minor leagues. 3 starts and he got beat up pretty badly in all 3. Now he's here because of injuries to their rotation. That's too high, ball 4, and Lindor's on with a 1-out walk. Earlier this year, Jeffrey Springs had Tommy John surgery after he got off to a great start, and now more recently Drew Rasmussen is out for at least a couple of months with a flexor tendon issue, and that's necessitated Bradley being called back to the big leagues. And you know, it's interesting when a guy goes down and struggles as badly as Bradley did and then gets promoted. Here's McNeil with 1 out. That goes to the backstop, and that'll send Lindor down to second. So that cutter just sailed inside. Too hot to handle for Bethancourt.
Well, Bradley is having a high with his fastballs early in this inning, the first inning, and throwing his slider in the dirt. So he's probably amped up getting back into the big leagues, his first start since he was sent down.
Taylor Walls playing shortstop today, playing right behind Lindor as he takes his lead. Dancing off the bag, and now McNeil swings and misses at a fastball, and it's 1-1. So that's what he did in the minors coming up. Dominated it, single A, double A, triple A, but then this year when he went back down, awful. And you wonder what kind of message that sends, right? Because you want to reward success, and here, because of necessity, they brought up a pitcher who was not faring well.
I think psychological, absolutely. It's not a matter of reward. They're saying his whole season could fall apart. Get him back up here.
Interesting, right?
All the psychology.
You would think you'd let him fail in the minors. Taken the other way. McNeil's got a base hit. Lindor will stop at third. So the Mets, and McNeil takes second as Rosarena threw in a lazy toss to the cutoff man rather than throwing it to second base, and McNeil took off and took the extra base. Great hustle by McNeil, and the Mets have 2 in scoring position.
Well, shades of Daniel Murphy against the Dodgers in the postseason. Open base. The Mets are awake. You just got to get the ball into the infield right away. And nice hitting by Jeff. Up and away fastball. And he's always got his head in the game. He is a very alert player.
So a single, second on the throw, and that's just a bad play by Rosarena. Yep, holding the ball and then making a soft toss into the cutoff man, and McNeil with his head up took full advantage.
Well, he just kind of held on to the ball too. I can see you can throw home on that and make sure you hit the cutoff man, but get rid of the ball. Don't hang on to it.
So 2 in scoring position for Alonso. He's still feeling under the weather today, but feeling a whole lot brighter after his game-winning 3-run homer last night.
It's funny when you're sick. I think you focus more, you bear down more on your at-bats.
Leads the league with 15 home runs, leads the league with 36 runs driven in, 2 in scoring position, infield back, and the cutter outside from Bradley, 1-0. I saw a stat today that really made my eyes pop. Since he began his career in 2019, Pete Alonso's OPS in extra innings is 1442. That's crazy. Swing and a miss. Good pitch there on the cutter, and it's 1-1. Well, he's got the most home runs of anybody in the majors, the most RBIs of anybody in the majors since the day he began his career.
He plays every day. He's a beast.
Lindor at third, McNeil at second with 1 out. And that's somehow blocked by Betancourt on a 55-foot breaking ball.
Well, here's yet another breaking ball in the dirt. And as a hitter right now, he's not getting that over. I'm geared on fastball. I'm ahead in the count. He's trying to get out of this with just maybe a run.
Right now, Bradley looking awfully raw in his 4th big league start. Mets trying to take advantage. 2-1 to Alonso, and he tries to pop the inside corner and misses, and it's 3-1. Brett Beatty waiting on deck. First 3 innings of games have been tough for Alonso. He has really struggled early in games. Trying to get the Mets on the board early in this one. Down 1-0 in the first. And that's inside ball 4, and that'll load him up for Beatty. So the second walk of this opening inning for Bradley, who had walked only 2 batters total in his first 3 big league starts. So now Beatty, who didn't start last night, had 1 at bat as a pinch hitter in the 9th and struck out, hit a home run in the opening game of the series. Brett just 3 hits in his last 27 bats, but a chance to do some damage here. Bases loaded, 1 out. And a clock violation is called against Bradley, and that's ball 1 to Beatty.
Everything's going wrong for the youngster. When I think of Taj, I think of Taj Mahal, Gar.
Agra. That's in India.
Of course.
It's the 1-0 pitch.
I was referring to the guitar player, the great
rhythm
rhythm and blues player, Taj Mahal.
There's our triptych.
That means the bases are loaded. Intoxicated.
Mets have hit 1 grand slam this year that belonged to Lindor. As a team, they're hitting .227 with the bases loaded. 2-0 to Beatty. Prime spot here. And he grounds 1 down to first. Raley's going to take it to the bag as the tying run comes home. Raley had it.
Jeez.
A play at second base, at least on Alonso, and maybe a chance for a double play, but he played extremely safety first in getting the out at first. Did he forget how many out there were?
Gary, I don't know. But that ball was hit hard. You've got to try for 2. Wow, it's only his 6th game at first base.
He's a slugger who's in there for his bat. But I have to think he forgot how many out there were.
Well, that's 2 mistakes, mental mistakes that the Rays have made in this game in the first inning.
So now 2 in scoring position for Pham, who snapped an 0 for 17 stretch with a base hit last night. Also drew a walk. So he was on base in his only 2 plate appearances in last night's game. McNeil now at third, Alonso at second with 2 out. And Pham takes a cutter for a strike. And it's 0-2.
Well, he's 1 out away getting out of this jam with 1 run, just much like McGill on his top of it in his first inning.
And the curveball blocked by Betancourt. Is it just me, or does it seem as though these day games after a night games, especially early in games, we see more and more mental mistakes?
Yes. Yes, and a little lethargy too. You just gotta drink a lot of Red Bull or coffee.
Well, I mean, you're not lethargic. And they're a lot younger.
I'm an old man, so
that's exactly right. You have an excuse to be lethargic.
I'm not that old. Wait till October, then you can call me old.
When you turn 70?
Yes.
I'll throw you a party. 2-2 coming to Pham. And he fouls off the fastball coming up and in. And stays 2-2.
I personally, and you know this, I've always loved day games, playing in day games and up here in the booth in day games. I just think baseball is meant to be out in the sunshine.
Next week we go to Wrigley Field and play 3 night games.
I am not happy.
I mean, come on. Check swing foul. It's the one place you can always count on playing day baseball.
Yeah, and you would think getaway day. The team goes to Denver. They're not going to get in till what, 2 in the morning.
I don't think the Cubs care.
No, they don't. Neither do the Braves with their night games.
7th pitch of the at bat coming to Pham. And he half swings it and went around on the cutter, and that's strike 3. And so Bradley gets away with only giving up 1 run. Tied at 1 after 1. Second inning, Isaac Paredes leads off against Tyler McGill. Paredes has had quite a series so far. 4 for 8, a double, 2 homers, 6 RBIs in the first 2 games. And here's curveball for a strike, 1-1.
One thing about Tyler is that he will come after hitters. He will not back down. He is what.
Lindor to his left and throws out Paredes, 1 away. Today's City Community Home Runs fan of the game is Jennifer from Herndon, Virginia. Go to sny.tv/CHR to enter. Good luck, Jennifer. Yesterday we had a contestant from Denver.
Right.
Today from Virginia. You're coast to coast.
Yep. Mountain to coast.
Here's Taylor Walls. And he takes a strike. Walls playing shortstop today. He was shortstop coming up through the minor leagues. Hasn't gotten to play there much because of Franco. There's Senga's line from last night. And the curveball from McGill outside, 1-1.
Well, he had everything going on, but he established his fastball and really located his fastball inside, which set up his ghost pitch and his breaking stuff.
Yeah, his cutter was really good too, as it has been all year. But I thought he was able to make his splitter, his ghost fork, more tempting to the hitters, as opposed to having it start out of the strike zone as a pitch they could spit on.
And he had his family here, pitched a great game in front of them.
Yeah, he said he was happy his family didn't hear him get booed. Which was only the second best line of the night. As a strikeout for McGill for the second out.
Well, fastball run away there. That was a ghost pitch. That's a fastball. Slider. Fastball in. Beautiful. Can't tell there. Ghost pitch. Fastball. Ghost pitch. Backdoor slider. Fastball in. Love it.
A lot of strikeouts. Raley takes curveball out of the strike zone for ball 1. Raley 0 for 4 last night. So the best line of the night came from Pete Fairbanks, who gave up the game-winning home run to Pete Alonso, and he said, "I picked a very unfortunate time to be the lesser Pete."
Okay.
I thought that was a great line. I don't know how long he took to think of it. Probably as he was walking off, watching the home run sail out, he was thinking, "I'm Pete, he's Pete. Today I was the lesser Pete." Good for him.
That's nice. He shouldn't have thrown that little cutter, the leftover up and out over the outer half.
1-2 coming to Raley, and the breaking ball outside. There was a part of that Fairbanks' appearance last night that we didn't mention, and really should have. He was coming back from the injured list. Part of the problem with Fairbanks is he has what's called Raynaud's syndrome, where he gets numbness in his fingers, particularly when it's cold. And last night was a cold night, which I thought was an odd place to use Fairbanks' first game back from the injured list. He said it didn't affect him, but you have to wonder. Good curveball to strike out Raleigh, and McGill throws up a 1-2-3 inning. Their last 10, still in last place in the NL Central, but moving up.
I think they cleared the air with their veteran catcher and all that controversy.
Daniel Vogelbach leads off the home second and takes a strike from Taj Bradley. Well, Contreras moved back behind the plate this week after 10 days of DHing and conversation. He said he changed nothing.
He probably didn't.
Pulled foul by Vogelbach. Well, the pitchers praised him afterward. Jack Flaherty in particular was very praising of Contreras. So whatever it was that the pitchers were upset about, that management reacted to, it seems as though they put it behind them.
And you know, you can't bring Yachty back, and you got a pretty nice little catcher to come in and fill his shoes.
Well, the other piece is it would behoove the Cardinal pitchers to pitch better.
No, yes.
They have not been very good. 0-2 to Vogelbach, who's 0 for 3 in this series. Escobar and Perez to follow, and the curveball in the dirt. So far, Bradley has not been able to land his curveball.
He's got a 12-6 curve. Good bite on it, but like any 12-6 curveball, you got to make him get it up, Gare.
He's mostly a fastball cutter pitcher. That curveball is his third pitch, and he goes away with a changeup, and he strikes out Vogelbach. That pitch we hadn't seen before. Third strikeout for Bradley, 1 out in the second.
And that's the pitch that they're trying to get him to get away with. They don't think it's a circle change or a split. Couldn't tell. That's a split, actually. Yeah, and the fingers are real kind of closer together than the average splitter.
Here's Eduardo Escobar, and he takes a curveball for a strike.
There's a nice curve.
Escobar getting his second straight start at second base. Last night McNeil didn't start. Today Marte's not starting because he got hit on the hand last night, and that hand is still a little sore today. So McNeil's in right field, and Escobar getting another turn at second. You know, with Vientos up and Luis Guillorme sent down to make room, Mets really don't have a backup shortstop. So Buck's been talking about giving Lindor a day off at some point, but he has to figure out who can play shortstop for him. Escobar, maybe. McNeil, maybe. Fastball blown by Eduardo, 2-2.
There's the grip, and fingers not very far apart. And it really just moved. It doesn't sink. It just kind of runs away. Like Runaway Sue.
Run around Sue.
Run around. Well, let me ad lib.
Sorry. Escobar had a pinch hit home run in the first game of the series.
From the right side.
And a walk and a fly out last night before he was pinch hit for. He's shown some real signs of life the last couple of weeks as his playing time has diminished. Grounded down to first behind the bag Raleigh, and he gets the bag 2 out. I was asking Buck Showalter yesterday about Escobar and the fact that he's swung the bat so much better since he's been playing less, and I said, does that encourage you that he can be that kind of player and, you know, play once or twice a week and be successful that way? He said, well, the thing about part-time players is if they play well enough, they're not part-time players anymore.
That's a good point. They play themselves back in the lineup.
Let's see what Eduardo's done recently. So now the 1,000 hitter Michael Perez will no longer be a 1,000 hitter as Taylor Walls throws him out. It's okay. He's still hitting 800. That'll play.
What's his OPS?
1-1 after 2.
When Henry went up the Hudson.
Did he go all the way up to Hudson Bay?
I don't know. No, doesn't connect to Hudson Bay, does it?
But wasn't Hudson Bay up in Canada named after Henry Hudson?
You got me there.
So, well, the Hudson River was named after Henry, wasn't?
Henry got around then.
Yeah, just saying. It's like Washington. He was in D.C. and out in the Pacific Northwest.
That's true. Didn't think of it that way.
Christian Bethencourt leads off against Tyler McGill in the third, and he grounds one behind the bag foul outside third. Bethencourt 1 for 4 in this series. Started the opening game of the series. Caught the last inning last night. Didn't catch the pitch to Pete Alonso that Pete hit out of the ballpark. That's first walk-off win of the season last night. We cut at that breaking ball. It's 0-2. Of course, it's not all that surprising. The Mets last night played just their 17th home game. They are owed a lot of games by the schedule.
Yep. 26 on the road. This is their 18th home game, and they're ready to go back on the road after this weekend series.
Bethencourt fouls off that fastball. Guardians are in tomorrow night. Carlos Carrasco comes off the injured list to pitch against his old team. What a great pitching matchup on Sunday. Matchup with Cy Young Award winners. Verlander goes against Shane Bieber.
I have to watch that one with the sound off.
Ooh. Grounded down to third. I'm going to tell David Cohn you said that.
I'm only kidding.
Beatty's long throw, and Alonso can't make the stretch effectively. And Bethencourt is safe at first.
That's
throw a little bit wide. Pete tried to save the error, but
E5. From deep, we see a lot of the third basemen playing very, very deep. It's one of the changes in the game. And then we've got to have, when they're playing back almost in the outfield grass, you almost have to have a great arm at third base.
So it's an error on Beatty to give the Rays a leadoff base runner, and now Manuel Margot, who's only 1 for 5 in this series, dropping his career average against the Mets to 370 with an even 1,000 OPS. Most of that accomplished while playing for the Padres. And the slider stays inside, and it's 2-0 to Margot. McGill's gotten 7 ground ball double plays in his first 8 starts, and 1 more today in the first inning. But now he's behind on Margot, 3-0 with the leadoff hitter Josh Lowe on deck. His inconsistency around the strike zone has really plagued McGill and this entire Mets staff. Mets coming into today and walked 168 batters, tied for the most in the National League. And that's a generous strike from C.B. Buckner, and it's 3-1. Mets have also given up the most home runs of any staff in the league, 60 of them. Home run differential is -13. 60 given up, 47 hit. Ground ball to short, that should be 2. Lindor off to McNeil, to Escobar, and on to first. 6-4-3 double play. And so McGill's gotten 2 ground ball double plays in the first 3 innings.
Got a very fortunate 3-1 strike call from C.B. Buckner, and turned that into, instead of a ball 4, into a 6-4-3 doubleheader. A doubleheader. Double play.
What did we say about mental mistakes? I just called Escobar McNeil. You called the double play a doubleheader.
What can I'm beside myself.
We could both use some more caffeine. Pham coming over to the line, and he makes the catch in fair territory to retire low, and that ends the inning. Still 1-1 in the third. Home third inning. Taj Bradley starts the second time around the Mets batting order. He struck out Brandon Nimmo his first time up and gets ahead of him with a fastball. That's got a run in the first inning against Bradley, who's now retired 5 in a row. Third baseman Paredes playing a step in on the grass against Nimmo. Lindor and McNeil to follow. Cutter taken high, a ball and a strike. So the Rays scored first today. We mentioned it's the 12th straight game that the Mets opponent has scored first. That's line to right, but right at Josh Lowe, and that's the first out. So one away Lindor coming up. That stretch of 12 straight games where the opponent scored first against the Mets ties a club record. In the dark days of 1977, shortly after the Seaver trade, The Mets had a similar stretch of 12 straight games where the opponent scored first. And now they've tied that. But they're only halfway to the major league record. Back in 1912, the Boston Braves had 24 straight games where their opponents scored first. And that's the major league record. See you nodding. That's knowledge you didn't have before.
Was the Boston Braves a stinko team that back then?
What do you think? I mean, I don't know their record during that 24 game stretch where the opponent scored first, but I'm sure it wasn't stellar.
This kid's got a good curveball, Gary.
Bounced over the mound, and the shortstop Walls is right there to throw out Lindor. 2 away. 7 straight retired by Bradley, and we check in with Steve Gill. Steve?
So, guys, we're used to seeing Mookie Wilson around the ballpark. He's here all the time interacting with fans, but never quite like we saw him on Tuesday before the game. He hosted a cookout for about 200 fans prior to Tuesday's game with his new catering company, Legacy Catering. His 5 brothers, his wife, some other family members, all a part of it, all in honor of his mother who taught him how to cook. It's a new venture for Mookie over the last year, and it's a pretty cool way that those fans got to tailgate before the game here against the Rays on Tuesday night.
So, Steve, did you get a taste?
I didn't. I was so busy. I was invited to go out there, and it was the one day that I actually decided to do some work before the game. So I couldn't make it out to the parking lot, but I heard the food was wonderful, and I don't doubt that.
Well, next time Mookie is here, you have to let us know so we can go out and partake.
Yeah,
the barbecue looked pretty good.
I would have loved to have met his family.
You got to take it up with Jay, Keith. Jay told me. He didn't tell you though.
I saw Jay yesterday.
You know why he didn't? You know why he didn't tell Keith? Because Mookie didn't want to run out of food.
No, that's Doc.
Well, Doc could eat that.
Oh.
I mean, when Doc at
Doc Gooden we're talking about
at the Japanese steakhouse.
Yes. Well, he went wild.
He would have
Benihana,
double of everything. You know how they fill you up?
He could eat.
Yeah. And McNeil with the foul tip for strike 3, and so Taj Bradley has gotten in a groove. He's retired 8 in a row. That's his 4th strikeout. 1-1 after 3.
That's a big league hook.
Snacks at the ready. It's the 4th inning. Randy Arozarena leads off against Tyler McGill and takes a slider out of the strike zone for ball 1. Arozarena topped one toward third for an infield hit. Just his 2nd hit of the series, his 1st time up, but what a rollicking start he's gotten off to this year.
2nd time through the order for McGill.
And picks off the outside corner with a fastball. 1-1. We have done some additional research on the Boston Braves of 1912. That 24 game streak where the opponent scored first. They went 7-17.
Okay.
So what they finished for the year, Doug? Get that next piece of information. 2-1 to Arozarena. Harold Ramirez and Brandon Lau to follow for the Rays in the 4th. Grounded back to McGill, and he'll take it most of the way and flip it the rest to get Arozarena 1 out. Now, Randy Arozarena won the Rookie of the Year award in 2021 after his postseason heroics in 2020 introduced him to everybody around baseball.
Ooh.
10 home runs in that postseason in 2020. Braves went 52 and 101 in 1912.
That's not a good year.
So they were worthy of that 24 game streak. Here's Harold Ramirez, who drove in the Rays run with a fielder's choice his 1st time up.
Ramirez is coming into the game hitting .330, and he's had a good series here. He's the biggest free swinger. He chases a lot, at least in this series.
Gets a breaking ball and flies one down the left field line right back toward the corner. Pham watches it go foul. That ball just hooked away. When we first saw Harold Ramirez as a Miami Marlin, and there was no hint that he was going to become the hitter that he has, but this is going back to what Steve was talking about yesterday with the Rays, identifying players who are underutilized in other organizations, as McGill gets him to chase the fastball away, and that's the 3rd strikeout for McGill. So 2 out and nobody on. McGill gave up hits to his first 2 batters today. Josh Lowe doubled. Rosarena had an infield hit. And McGill has not given up another base runner since, other than the error committed by Beatty in the 3rd. Here's Lau, who grounded into an inning-ending double play in that 1st inning. And he hits one right back to McGill. That's the easiest of innings. A strikeout and 2 comebackers for McGill. Nicely done. Still 1-1. How can you tell?
Hello.
So they all look the same?
Yes. Actually, 1 year with the Cardinals, I got the Gold Glove, and it was. We'll wait for the pitch. It's too funny. They sent me a glove for a right-hander.
Oh no, really?
Instead of a left-hander. I was like, I called him and I sent it back. Sent the glove back.
So this is an actual glove.
It's an actual glove.
I thought it was made of metal, but it's an actual glove painted gold.
Yes.
That's outstanding. I love that.
Well, today's new one, the new ones today are metal.
They are.
They're plated. And I like them better.
And these baseballs, they come out?
They do.
Do they go in the glove?
Yep. And they get these prongs here. They're baseball bats. That's kind of cool.
Oh, that is nice.
Kind of cool.
Very lovely. Alonso drives one deep center field. Forget that. That ball's going to sail out of here into the black. Alonso has struck again. He's homered in all 3 games of this series. Number 16 on the year, and the Mets go in front 2-1. Pete's getting on a tear.
Maybe Pete should get sick more often.
Crushed it to the left of the apple.
Same pitch as he hit out last night. Out over the plate, slightly above the belt. He is so strong. Watch the pitch. They want to go high. Not high enough.
Now Brett Beatty.
When he hits it, there's not a ballpark that can hold him.
That went a long, long way. Well, Alonso has now hit 70 home runs at Citi Field. He's now just 1 behind Lucas Duda for the all-time Citi Field lead.
Here's another look from the backside. Look at the hardly any take back. And just no overswing. And it's just, he's just so doggone strong.
But despite the lack of a take back, you can really see the load from that angle.
Yes, you can't start your swing from not move your hands back. You've got to kind of get a little like a choo-choo train. Moving just from just starting, get a little back action to get both. So watch the take back. Very little, just a slight hitch, which is a drop of the hands. Maybe I wouldn't even call it a hitch. It's like 2 inches. So not like Willie Mays. Remember, Willie Mays had the big hitch.
3-2 coming to Beatty. And Brett hits one past the mound, but Walls out of play perfectly and throws him out 1 away. Well, Alonso now with his 16th. Muncy had taken over the lead with a couple for the Dodgers on Monday, but then Alonso homering in all 3 games of this series and getting the lead right back.
Well, if Pete gets rocking, this offense will pick up. I think they'll follow his lead.
Tommy Pham was struck out his first time up.
You know, because I do feel this team offensively had kind of pressed, you know, with the starting pitching the way it was, and they're falling behind, having to, you know, it can collectively make everybody just kind of grip the bat tighter. It takes one guy to get you out of it.
Pham pops one up. Shading his eyes is Raley. Staggering and stays with it. Boy, 2 out. That home run means Citi will donate $2,000 to No Kid Hungry to help fight childhood hunger. Now more than ever, kids across America need our help. I've still got my white gloves on. I want to remind everybody that the Mets Hall of Fame Museum, before every Sunday home game, is taking out 2 artifacts from their collection and allowing fans to actually touch them with white gloves on. And this is very, very cool.
When this one's out, you can touch, but don't break.
Well, that's the good thing about it being an actual glove. It's really hard to break.
Yeah, it just spray painted. All my gloves are like this. All of my gloves are leather. They made the change, I don't know how long ago, but long after I retired.
Is there a particular Gold Glove of the 11 that you won that you cherish the most?
Probably my first one, 78. It took me a while to get noticed, and Garvey was the perennial Gold Glover.
I'm going to ask you one more question when we come back from the inning break, because I'm interested about this. As Walls makes the grab. Alonso's home run puts the Mets in front. Pete connects, and it's 2-1 New York.
Greg Maddox surpassed him.
So Tyler McGill pitching with the lead for the first time. Throws a slider up and into Isaac Paredes, who grounded out to short his first time up. So I want to ask you one more question, and it may be a hard one for you to answer.
Yes.
You said you cherished your first Gold Glove the most.
Right.
And that makes sense, right? Because you have to prove yourself as being worthy of a Gold Glove. But there are times later in some players' careers where they win Gold Gloves on reputation.
Right.
Did you feel as though you deserved all 11 of the Gold Gloves, and did you deserve more?
I felt 77 I should have won. I played every day. Garvey got it. 76 I didn't play enough. 88 my last one, I was hurt a lot of the year. Mark Grace probably should have won. Mark Grace was a tremendous first baseman, and kind of didn't get the Gold Gloves because he was playing with me in my time. So it evened out.
He was a big fan of yours.
Yeah, you had my number on.
17.
Yep.
Driven to center field, and Nimmo cuts over and grabs it 1 out. I mean, once you've been established as a Gold Glove winner, does it give you a sense of greater confidence to, I don't know, to make more plays and take more chances and feel more adept because you've gotten that acknowledgement?
No, because there's a pop-up. That's now, no one's going to get to that one. You know, I have a quarter of the infield is mine, and I can't hog into my second baseman's because I have to know my boundaries. I do know the Gold Glove meant didn't do anything as far as my I knew I could field, and I worked hard at it. But as I played longer and I improved through experience, and I experimented, like when I fielded a bunt, like a third baseman throwing to second on a swinging bunt, I would throw to second like that.
I mean, like the play you made against the Reds, right? That everybody always talks about that one. Is that a play you could have made 10 years earlier, or did you have more confidence at that point in your career in '86 that you might not have had in '76?
I probably would not have been so bold. That was a rookie that was just called up, that was started that game, and Pete Rose was the manager, and he put that bunt on. It was the proper play, and I knew that kid wasn't going to swing. Pete Rose puts the bunt on, so I really played tight. It wasn't that great a play, really. I mean,
But look where you were.
I know, but I was way. I just knew I couldn't do that to a veteran pitcher that could swing the bat, like Greg Maddox, all the good hitters, Valenzuela, the guys that could, Carlton, the guys that could hit.
Right.
I had to be a little more conservative.
You knew the bunt was staying on
no matter what. So I overplayed it, and I wanted to breathe down his throat, make him sweat.
1-2 to Taylor Walls with 1 out. And he turns one deep but foul. So Willie Mays, who won 12 Gold Gloves, said, and he was one of the greatest hitters of all time at 660 home runs, he said he got more pleasure out of playing defense than anything else in the game. Did you feel that way too?
Well, I think that Willie would agree with me that it's the easiest part of the game, and the defense. And you take pride in the fact that, okay, Willie Mays is a great offensive force, a greater force than me, but I could hold my own. But I could win a game in the field, and I took pride in that. And I was always on point in the field, and particularly when I was slumping. I mean, Whitey Herzog, who didn't give me a heck of a lot of praise, the one thing that he said was that after he'd said he didn't like the way I ran ground balls out, was that I never took my offense out into the field, but I never dogged it in the field.
Walls, guys went out to shallow right center. And McNeil, battling the sun, gives way to Nimmo. McNeil was having trouble finding it, and Nimmo bailed him out. And that's the second out. So our curator here, Russ, is going to remove it. Make sure you don't drop it.
No. My brother has my 79, and my daughters have Melissa's born in 80. She has my 1980. Mary was born in 84. She has my 84.
Raley flies that one to center. Nimmo gives ground and gets there to make the catch. So 3 putouts for Nimmo.
And Jesse was born in 73. I was
in his last start, and as was the case in his last start, that's been it. Gave up 1 earned run against Washington, 1 earned run so far today. Eduardo Escobar leads off against Taj Bradley, who's looked pretty good in his own right after 3 bad minor league starts, brought back to the big leagues and picking up where he left off when he won his first 3 games for Tampa Bay.
This is a well-pitched ball game. Both pitchers attacking the strike zone. Game moves much faster. Someone throws strikes, the hitters are going to swing the bat.
2 balls and a strike to Escobar, grounded out to first base his first time up. Michael Perez on deck, and then Brandon Nimmo for the Mets in the 5th. Bradley misses with that cutter and falls behind 3-1. Bradley was getting behind the hitters in the first inning, but since then he's been filling the strike zone. Walked 2 in the first inning, but none since. And Escobar lifts 1 foul, and it's 3-2.
I like his stuff.
Taj Bradley just turned 22 in March. He said, Bradley did, that the pandemic year was the best thing that happened to him because he really made a commitment to getting in shape. Wasn't getting to pitch, but got his body in shape, lost about 20 pounds, and he said it increased his velocity. So he went from a guy who threw 92, 93 to a guy who throws 95, 96. And that certainly hastened his development.
How much weight did he lose?
About 20 pounds, he said.
That's a lot. So he was too big. Look at his mouth. That's fit.
3-2 to Escobar. And he hits one toward the hole. That's a base hit. So Escobar's resurgence continues. That 6 hits in his last 11 at bats. And the Mets have the leadoff man on the 5th.
That's nice to see. And that's a good pitch. Down and away and not trying to pull it. And yet again, as I mentioned, we're seeing more hitters using the entire field, getting away from that all or nothing swing.
Here's Michael Perez, who made his first out of the season, rounding out to short in the 2nd. And he tries to drop down a bunt, but fouls back the fastball, 0-1. It was strictly a sacrifice attempt by Perez, even with the third baseman Paredes playing in on the grass. The Rays have had that third baseman in for a lot of the Mets hitters in this series, much more so than we've seen any team this year. Now Perez this time swinging away and pops it up, and Paredes should have this one lined up. 1 out. Taj Bradley made 3 starts to begin the season and won all 3 of them, striking out 23 batters. And got sent to the minors and made 3 starts there before his recall. Zach Littell gets up in the bullpen for Tampa Bay.
And they haven't gone over in his 3 major league starts. He has not gone over 5 innings. That's why I think Lytell's up.
I was amazed when I read this stat. Bradley is the first American League pitcher ever to strike out 23 and win his first 3 starts. Ever. Isn't that crazy? Two pitchers have done it in the National League. Juan Marichal did it in 1960 in his first 3 starts for the Giants. And Nick Maddox in 1907 for the Pirates. In Maddox's 3rd start, he threw a no-hitter. It's a pretty good way to start your career, and he was only 20 years old. Nimmo tries to hold the swing, but he went around, and it's 1-2.
I don't know about that. Can you imagine Juan Marichal coming up to the big leagues with that leg kick? That had to take some getting used to.
I can't imagine anybody doing that today. You know, you see pitchers use a high knee kick, but he had his legs straight up, and I just can't imagine anybody trying to do that today.
They say that Juan used to, by the way, he's one of the great gentlemen. We had the pleasure of being in his company, and he practiced that in front of a mirror. I mean, think about it. He had to practice that. That big leg kick.
The balance required to do that, and then to maintain the control that he had, was remarkable.
Had the fastball, knew how to pitch, had a turnover screwball changeup, and a great curve.
Nimmo taps one. Bradley off the mound has to go to first with it. Gets the out there. Escobar to second, 2 out. So if you're too young to remember Juan Marichal, this is what it looked like.
That's not at its peak. It is. He used to get higher than that. And as a kid growing up, I look forward to watching him pitch.
I mean, I just can't imagine how fearsome that must feel as a hitter. First of all, the ability to hide the ball behind that leg. And then, you know, you have no idea with that leg and the arm coming toward you whether he's going to be able to get the ball over the plate or hit you in the head.
And he had 5 pitches, and he was a great control pitcher. He mastered it. That's why he's a Hall of Famer.
A lot of kids in the crowd today.
I share a birthday with him.
And Mickey Mantle.
And Mickey Mantle. 2 guys who both with 7 on their backs. 7, 17, and 27. How about that? I didn't think of that.
37 too.
Yep.
Nominate the everyday hero in your life. No purchase necessary. Ends 5/21/23. Learn more at HyundaiSaluteToHeroes.com. 2 out. Here's Lindor with a runner in scoring position. And Francisco takes curveball down for ball 1. Lindor walked and scored the first man run. Rounded out in the 3rd, 0 for 1. Bradley about to throw his 84th pitch, which will match his season high, majors or minors. That's why there's action in the bullpen for Tampa Bay. And as we've said throughout the series, the Rays are a firm proponent in not allowing a pitcher to get deep into that 3rd time through the order. And here's Bradley facing his 2nd batter the 3rd time through. Kevin Cash infamously pulled Blake Snell in the World Series because of that fairly strict 3 times around rule. And a foul tip by Lindor. He's still throwing hard. 97.
Yep, he's got good stuff. This kid's got a future.
We've seen some impressive young pitching this year. Hunter Green, Mackenzie Gore, Taj Bradley, add him to the list. And timeout taken by Lindor. Kevin Cash now in his 9th season. The Rays have made the postseason each of the last 4 years, despite one of the lowest payrolls in the game. And this year got off to one of the great starts of all time, winning their first 13 games. 32-12 coming into play today. 1-2 coming to Lindor, and he pops one up behind 3rd base. Giving ground is Paredes, coming across his walls. It's Paredes to make the catch. and that retires the side. A leadoff hit. Escobar's left stranded after 5, 2-1 New York. All right, thanks, Gary. Here's Christian Bethancourt to lead off the 6th inning against Tyler McGill. Mets could really use McGill to get deep into this game. Mets had to use most of their back end of the bullpen yesterday. Robertson and Ottavino both pitched. McGill could give the Mets 7 today. That would be huge. Bethancourt fouls one back, and it's 1-1.
He's only had 2 innings with a double digits pitches. That's 12 and 14 in the 5th and 3rd inning. Everything else has been single digits, Gary.
Hasn't gone beyond 6 innings this year, but in a lot of those games he had much higher pitch counts. Bethancourt reached on Nair his first time up, and he takes a slider low and away. 2 balls and a strike. Manuel Margot on deck, and then Josh Lowe for the Rays, who had 2 hits from their first 2 batters today and none since against McGill. And fastball in for a strike, 2-2. We said it at the outset of the broadcast. Last night was fantastic for the Mets, but momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher, and so far McGill has been exactly what the Mets needed to keep the good feelings going. And he strikes out Bethancourt for the first out of the 6th. 4th strikeout for McGill. He's now retired 9 in a row.
Change up. Bethancourt talking what there's a grip, so he just lets it roll off that index finger and gets that sink. The off-speed pitch with that circle change on the splitter has been perfected. There's over the years there's been the palm ball, different variations, but I think they finally found the right technique, the right grip, where a pitcher doesn't tip his pitches. There's a palm ball, fork ball, screwball.
Well, the circle change is certainly the most prevalent, but like tomorrow night, Carlos Carrasco's pitching. He throws a split change, which has been very effective for him. That's driven out to right center. Nimmo should have room. Step in front of the warning track to run down Margot's fly ball, and that's 10 straight retired by McGill. So Carrasco back from the IL to face his old team tomorrow night against Cal Quantrill. Max Scherzer goes Saturday against Tanner Bybee. And then the matchup of former Cy Young Award winners Verlander and Bieber. So it's Bybee and Bieber. Bybee, Bieber. Back to back for the baseball team from Cleveland. Curveball misses low and into Josh Lowe as McGill starts his 3rd turn around the batting order. Looks as though Taj Bradley is done. The Rays bullpen in full gear. 86 pitches for Bradley, most he's thrown this year. Lowe hits one well to center field, chasing Nimmo back to the warning track, and that ball's going to sail into the black. Josh Lowe has tied the game with his 10th home run of the year, and it's 2-2. So after McGill had retired 10 in a row, starts the 3rd tour of the batting order, and it proves costly as Lowe goes deep. The Rays' 87th home run of the year coming in their 45th game.
Fastball that he got. Oh no, see, another hanger. But he's been so spot on today. That's one of the few mistakes that McGill has made in this outing. I think it's been his best outing of the year, command-wise and stuff. And he just hung it. All the Met home runs last night were on breaking balls.
You don't see too many home runs hit into the black at Citi Field, but each team has had one today. Alonso hit one to the left of the apple. Lowe hits one to the right of the apple, and we're back even again, 2-2. Rosarena swings through the high fastball, and it's 1-2.
So that gives the Rays now 3 hitters with double-digit home runs.
Well, they've already got 11 hitters with 5 or more home runs, which is a major league record for inside of 50 games. And McGill didn't get the call on that fastball, and it's 2-2. Takes a little withering view of C.B. Buckner after that last call.
C.B.'s called a decent game today.
Each team with 2 runs and 3 hits today. And Arozarena takes the walk.
Boy, those pitches just missed.
Jeremy Hefner will slow things down. That's the first walk of the day for McGill, which is a really nice step in the right direction. McGill was up among the top 10 in the league in walks allowed. Won 4 and 5 innings in his last start, but his first walk today comes with 2 out of the 6th. And now we'll face a dangerous hitter in Harold Ramirez, who had the go-ahead run at first base. And now you got to think about the stolen base again. Rays swiped 7 last night. They've had very few opportunities to steal today.
Well, this would be a good time to try one. But McGill's quick home. For a big guy, he's got a tight delivery from the belt.
And a decent pickoff move for a tall right-hander.
Do they still call it from the belt?
Yeah, sure.
You know where I got that?
Still wear belts.
I got that from Russ Hodges.
Comes to the belt. The first pitch, swung and missed. Harris lost a hand off the bat that time. Gill's given up 2 stolen bases this year, none caught. Arozarena stole his 4th last night. And Ramirez socks one toward left center. May fall, and it does for a base hit. Arozarena took a turn at second and stopped there. So a little dunker by Ramirez. The 3rd straight Ray to reach base after 2 out and nobody on. Nobody is up as yet in the Mets bullpen.
Well, 2 outs. The runner's running on contact. Now he's hustling.
Pham just got to that ball quickly, and Arozarena didn't want to make the 3rd out of third base. So 2 out and 2 on, and now a crucial out for McGill facing Brandon Lau.
Look how quickly this happened.
Well, this reminds me of Tyler's game against Atlanta, right, where he was so good for 5 innings, and then it imploded on him all of a sudden in the 6th. Here we are in the 6th again and trying to get through it. Arozarena at second, Ramirez at first with 2 out, and Lau takes a big cut, throw it back to first, and they've got the runner hung up. Alonso chases down Ramirez, puts on the tag, inning over. The back pick by Francisco Alvarez, who got victimized on a similar play in Washington. This time it's Michael Perez with the back pick. Bottom of the 6th, tied at 2. Michael Perez with the back pick, getting Tyler McGill through a jam.
It was a setup play, and I don't know what Ramirez was thinking there, but he took his team right out of a potential go-ahead run. Well, Pete's reaction in the dugout is full of enthusiasm, but it was also an enthusiasm reaction on the field as well.
Jeff McNeil 1 for 2 now facing Zach Littell, and he pulls one into right field for a base hit to get the Mets started in the 6th. So McNeil with his 2nd hit of the game and his 5th in the series.
Well, you think you can get inside on Jeff, and that's a good inside fastball, and he is just so quick. No, they don't. You're not a batting champ for any reason. There's the numbers for Littell.
Littell struck out the side in his only inning in this series Tuesday night. And he gets the slider in for a strike to Alonso.
Well, this is how it started in the 10th inning last night for the Mets, with a base hit by McNeil to right field.
And Pete goes after a slider breaking away from him, and it's 0-2.
Really a fine performance from young Taj Bradley. Very impressive.
Bradley went 5, allowed 2 runs, 3 hits, walked 2, struck out 4, a wild pitch, a home run, 86 pitches, and no decision for him. It'll be the first game he started in the major leagues that he doesn't get a win.
I think he's going to be here to stay too.
That's what the Rays said before the game. Kevin Cash said Bradley's not here just for a spot start. He's here to be a member of a rotation. And certainly today was every reason to think that that's going to be a long-term proposition. Alonso's walked and hit a 446-foot home run, his 16th of the year, and gave the Mets the lead in the 4th. Now we're tied again, and Pete hammers one foul. 1-2.
Pete looks very much at home now at home plate.
He should be under the weather more often. Seems to agree with him. Homering in all 3 games in this series. And he hits this one out to center field, chasing Margot back to the warning track. But he's there to make the catch. Just off the end of the bat. One out. We check in with Steve.
So, Gary, with Brett Beatty coming up, it's worth noting that last night, again, was just a huge night for the kids. And all 3 of them, Beatty, Alvarez, Vientos, after the game, and again today, we're talking about how helpful it is that they're all coming up and experiencing this together. Certainly there's a comfort level with just having your friends really going through the same things. But what I thought was a really interesting point was that it also gives them each a confidence that they can succeed up here. That it's one thing, essentially what they were saying, to see, Pete Alonso hitting home runs against major league pitching. But it's another thing when you see your buddies that you were just in the minor leagues with a few weeks ago doing well against major league pitching, and it reinforces that you too can have those same results. And again, there's this comfort that comes with that. I thought that was neat.
Also, too, it's nice to have familiarity in the clubhouse. I mean, these guys were in big league camp. They know these players, but you've got 3 of these guys up that played together in AAA, so it's not like, they're an outsider coming in.
And they were all in the big leagues for a period of time last year. Beatty, of course, broke in with a bang, hit a home run his first time up, and then shortly thereafter got hurt. Alvarez came up very late and had a few at-bats down the stretch. Vientos played a little bit more than the other 2. But they at least got their feet wet last year before going back to AAA to start this season. 1-2 to Beatty. And Brett fouls off splitter by Littell, and it's still 1-2.
Well, really the plan for all 4 of them, if you count Mauricio, was that everybody on the big league level was performing. They were going to get the experience in AAA, but they also were wearing it out.
Well, in Alvarez's case, that's grounded toward the middle, base hit. Around second is McNeil. He'll go on to third. Lau was playing over toward the hole against the left-hand batter and couldn't make up ground to his right. And so Beatty's got a base hit, and the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 out.
Well, they really played him the pull. Changeup, stayed back. And you see where he's really playing the pull. That ball was hit hard.
Beatty with his second hit of the series. Kyle Snyder, the pitching coach, is out at the mound talking to Littell, who's given up 2 base hits and a warning track fly ball to his first 3 hitters. And Tommy Pham will be coming to the plate with the go-ahead run at third and 1 out. Long meeting at the mound, and C.B. Buckner goes out there to break it up. Nobody's throwing in the Tampa Bay bullpen. We said coming into the series that for all of their success, and Tampa Bay has been easily the best team in the majors so far this year, their one Achilles heel this season has been their bullpen. That's got to that bullpen last night, trying to do it again now, because Brooks Raley gets up in the Mets pen. So here's Pham, who struck out and popped up. First and third, 1 out. Tie game, 6th inning. And a first pitch in for a strike, 0-1. Pham with just 1 hit in his last 20 at bats. He's hitting .125 this year with runners in scoring position. He's got a big spot here trying to get McNeil home from third. And Pham lays off the slider away, and it's 1-1.
The defense is pretty much what Tampa does. Second baseman way up the middle. Look at that right side of the infield. Oh, it's just like, it's so inviting.
And Pham lays off 3 sliders in a row from Littell, and it's 2-1. Zach Littell, who's bounced from Boston to Tampa Bay this year after pitching for the Giants the last 2 years. Just his second appearance for the Rays. First one was impressive on Tuesday night. Pham tops one toward third. That'll be a tough play. The throw to first by Paredes, not in time. McNeil comes home and the Mets take the lead 3-2. Tommy Pham with the infield hit to get the run in.
You'll take it. You got to get a smile on your face. Good. Paredes playing deep. And McNeil very much aware of where the third baseman was playing. Broke on contact.
So Pham drives in his 10th run of the year. Now Vogelbach with 2 on and 1 out. That's back in front. And the first pitch fastball for a strike. Vogelbach has struck out and popped up 0 for 2. Mets had just 3 hits coming into this inning. They have 3 hits in their first 4 batters in this inning to play to run. Now Vogelbach trying to keep the line moving. And he fouls back that fastball. 0-2.
So McNeil on point. Breaks with it. I see where this third baseman is. How can you play them that deep? Runners on first and third. I do not agree with that at all. And you've got to be in. McNeil may not score if you've got him just right behind the cut in the grass.
And what's interesting is there have been a lot of circumstances in this series where the Rays have played that third baseman in, but they didn't against Pham.
It's the 6th inning too, you know, when we're kind of getting into the latter part of the game.
Good block there by Betancourt on the splitter in the dirt. 1-2. Beatty at second, Pham at first with 1 out. Vogelbach trying to snap an 0 for 8 streak. But he goes after the splitter and misses, and that's the 2nd out. So Littell has his first strikeout, 2 down.
That is a pretty wicked splitter. Looks like Vogelbach is a little bit in a slump. He's out in front. When you're out in front, you chase. And you can see, even if you strike out on that pitch and you wait on it, he was way out in front. So he's not seeing the ball well.
Now Escobar fouls one.
This is a big at bat right here. It's a big run out on second base.
So Escobar, his last time up, hit the ball through the shortstop hole because the shortstop was shaded toward the bag at second, and they're playing the exact same defense this time, giving him that same hole. 2 out and 2 on. Escobar takes a splitter outside, a ball and a strike. He hit it right through that hole on the left side the last time up.
Sure did.
Escobar 6 hits in his last 11 at bats, including a couple of home runs in that stretch, and he takes a splitter for a strike, and it's 1-2.
That was a good one to spit on. That was right where he wanted to pit. Oh, what do we got here? Timeout.
Escobar has a base hit in his only career at bat against Littell. One-two coming, and he popped it up. Walls out, Arozarena in, and it's Arozarena to make the catch. That retires the side, but the Mets combined 3 hits for a run, and they lead 3-2 after 6. Progenitor of the great slogan, you gotta believe, 50 years ago.
Tug, great competitor. Screwball. That was one of his pitches.
He was having an awful year first 5 months of that season, but September he didn't give up anything, and he was fabulous in the postseason as well. Brooks Raley's second appearance off the injured list for New York, and the former Ray starts off his former mate Brandon Lau with a slider for a swinging strike.
Yeah, his last outing and his first off the IL was against the Nats in the third game.
Lau hooks one out to right. McNeil coming toward the line and stays with it through the sun and puts it away, 1 out. Yeah, it's still up there, Jeff. Hanging right there in the sky, shining bright.
So I got to believe here we're in the back end of the game now, Gare. That Ottavino back to back. I don't know if Buck's going to use him today.
Would not think so.
So it's going to be on Smith for the 8th if they have the lead, and then Robertson can close it out if everything goes as it is right now, stays static.
Isaac Paredes is 0 for 2, grounded out and lined out to center. And Raley gets even with a sinker, 1-1. Raley was terrific for the Rays last year, but his price got too high for them, and he signed with the Mets. Slider in for a strike to Paredes, and it's 1-2. So it is ever thus. I shouldn't say that. He was acquired in a trade for a minor leaguer, but you understand the concept. Players who succeed at Tampa Bay often find themselves elsewhere when their price gets too high. Tyler McGill had another good start today. 6 innings, allowed 2 runs, 4 hits, a walk, 4 strikeouts, 79 pitches. Giving way to Raley in the 7th. Adding a swinging strike on the changeup, and Raley gets Paredes for the 2nd out. So 2 up and 2 set aside after Pete Alonso's home run in the 4th inning. One lucky fan went home with $15,000, courtesy of the New York Lottery. For your chance to be the next winner, go to sny.tv/New York Lottery to enter. Raley's retired the first 2, and now Taylor Walls, who has struck out and flied out today, 0 for 2. Walls struck out 4 times in the game last night. His 2nd career golden sombrero. And Raley goes inside with a cutter and misses, a ball and a strike. Well, you got the starter in the opening game of the series, Jalen Beeks, up in the bullpen for Tampa Bay. It's life with the Rays. Openers become closers. Swinging strike from Walls, and it's 1-2. Changeups and cutters, those are Raley's weapons against those right-hand batters, and it's made him an effective crossover pitcher. And both of those pitches working in Korea for several years. 1-2 coming, and the sweeper is pulled foul. Still 1-2. Sweeper, that's a slider that breaks a lot across the plate.
We had the conversation with Buck like it's a brand new pitch. It's not a brand new pitch. A lot of guys over the decades have thrown sweepers.
Raley on deck, Raley on the mound, not related. Not Raley. It's the 2-2. Swing and a miss. And Raley strikes out Walls. So Brooks Raley with a 1-2-3-7 stretch time, 3-2 New York. Is Jalen Beeks, who was the opener in the first game of the series, comes on to pitch the 7th inning in the 3rd game of the series. Michael Perez leads off and takes a strike. Perez is 0 for 2, grounded out and popped up. Beeks went 2 innings on Tuesday night, gave up no runs, 1 hit through 26 pitches, and now in relief. And a slider off the plate is 1-1. We mentioned the Rays bullpen and how it's been the one thing that has dragged the Rays down a little bit. It's especially been true recently. The last 8 games, including today, the Rays bullpen has worked 33 in the 3rd innings and given up 30 earned runs. That's an 8.10 ERA.
Well, we saw their Achilles heel last night.
Last night, the Mets scored all 7 of their runs against the Rays bullpen. Beeks bounces the changeup in. It's 2-2.
Kind of tucks it. Really very bizarre here.
I mean, it's a little bit like a catcher in that he brings it up to his ear, but that little tuck of the elbow behind his back is very unusual, like a duck wing. Foul by Perez. 3-2. Nimmo and Lindor to follow as the Mets look for some insurance in the 7th. Taj Bradley went the first 5 for Tampa Bay, allowed 2 runs, 3 hits. Zach Littell worked the 6th. He gave up the go-ahead run, so he's pitcher of record on the short side. And Perez down swinging on the changeup, and Beeks has a strikeout to start his entry into this game.
Here's the arm action, tucking on the belt level, and then he comes up. Look at that sinker. What a nice pitch. That is a beautiful pitch. There you go. High shoulder kick. I shouldn't say kick. Raise, lift. Can't kick.
One out now. Nimmo
Can't kick your shoulder.
Well, it depends. Last year you kind of kicked your shoulder.
Yes, I did. To the curb.
Nimmo's 0 for 3 in this game, and now 0 for his last 16. Nimmo had a very hot stretch, but the last few days have come up empty. Jim Brigham up in the Mets bullpen. So it certainly tells you that they're staying away from Ottavino today. Congratulations to today's City Community Home Runs fan of the game, Jennifer, who as of now has won a meet and greet with Pete Alonso, a Mets autograph, a Mets prize pack, and entry in the grand prize drawing. Nimmo lines one into left center, a base hit. He takes the turn. He'll hold on with a 1-out single. That snaps an 0 for 16 stretch for Brandon.
That is beautiful, Brendan. Off the left-hander, driving it into the gap, and a ball out over the outer half of the plate. He has just really turned himself into a quality major league hitter.
Now Lindor batting right-handed for the first time today. Tops one foul. Don't forget, with that Mets home run contest, if you enter the sweepstakes and donate to No Kid Hungry, you can receive up to 50 additional entries. Lindor 0 for 2 and a walk today. That's now with 7 hits on the day. Lindor skies one to center. Should be easy for Margot. Through the sunglasses, 2 out. Don't miss a single moment with the SNY app. Scan the code and download today.
This would be a good time right now for Nimmo to try to steal a base. Got McNeil up. If he gets thrown out, you got McNeil leading off in the 8th with Pete behind him. You got
been a long time since Brandon stole a base.
I know. And you got a left-hander. You can kind of take a chance once he breaks from the belt. Take a chance.
Brandon had 3 stolen bases early in the season. He got caught that one time in a bad spot in Detroit and has not tried another one since. And the slider out of the strike zone to McNeil, 2-0. McNeil is 2 for 3 today. Single to left in the first, single to right, and scored the go-ahead run of the 6th. Alonso looming on deck. Beeks behind, 2-0. And McNeil got a fastball to hit and fouled it off, 2-1. Mets playing the rubber game of this series today. One of the things that characterized the Mets season last year was their ability to just take 2 out of 3. They were 18-4 in rubber games last year. They're 2-2 so far this year. McNeil using his timeout. Two one coming. Jeff fouls off that fastball, and it's 2-2. Not only have the Mets not won a series since they were in Los Angeles, that's a month ago tomorrow that they last won a series. They haven't won back-to-back games since that West Coast trip. Grounded to the right side, and Lau will field it and throws out McNeil, inning over. On to the 8th we go with the Mets up 3-2.
After today's game, Mets have a 3-game set starting tomorrow against the Cleveland Guardians. And the Guardians, after winning the division last year, off to a tough start this season, 19-23. Now, the good news if you're a Guardians fan, they also started last season 19-23 and ended with a 92-70 record. But the underlying numbers not quite as good. Offensively, significantly down from where they were a year ago, especially with runners in scoring position. They were a good team with runners in scoring position last year, struggling in that category. Went 0 for 11 yesterday against the White Sox, and they're averaging less than 3 runs per game over the last 27. Former Met Andres Jimenez, great season a year ago, but he too has gotten off to a slow start this season. Guys.
Well, the Guardians got out like the Mets did this year. They were 9-6 to start the year, but just 10-17 since. Lined into left field by Wander Franco, pinch hitting for Luke Raley, and that's how the 8th inning begins. So Franco was getting a rare day off, his first hit in the series, and the tying run aboard with nobody out. Now you've got the base stealing ability of Franco, and Buck is on his way out to the mound, and with the right-handing Bethancourt coming up, he's going to bring in the right-hander and take advantage of the platoon situation more so than Raley's ability to hold runners. So pitching change for the Mets. Brigham coming in. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Nissan. Shop NissanUSA.com. Jeff Brigham comes on to pitch for New York, working for the 2nd straight day.
Gave up with a home run last night. That was back in the 7th to Siri.
Comes in to face Christian Bethancourt with the tying run at first, and his first cutter is out of the strike zone for ball 1. Bethancourt has reached on there and struck out 1 for 6 in the series. Wander Franco, the pinch hitter with the base hit, 14 steals on the year, including 2 last night. Not going on the first 2 pitches, and Brigham falls behind on Bethancourt 2-0. Franco behind the A's Esteury Ruiz, 2nd in the American League in steals. The Rays now lead the league in steals after their 7 stolen bases last night. Brigham behind 2-0, and Bethancourt pops it up. Alonso shading his eyes, says he'll take it, and he does.
With a wave of his hand. Get away from me. I got it.
Normally he waves both arms, but that time one of them was doing double duty as a sun shield.
Multitasking. I got it.
Did you like to do that? Close your glove before you opened it?
I don't remember.
Okay. 1 out and 1 on. Here's Manuel Margot, and he takes a slider for a strike. I think it's a natural thing to do, right?
You know, your focus is on the ball. You don't know what you're doing with other parts of your anatomy.
Well, you don't want to be stiff, so it's almost like practice swings in the batter's box, right? Opening, closing your hand. Margot lays off, and it's 1-1. Manuel Margot today has grounded into a double play and flying to center. 1 for 7 in this series. Brigham has been heavily used.
He's been good
since he was called up. Fastball misses upstairs, 2-1. The leadoff hitter Josh Lowe is on deck. Lowe's working on a big day already with a double and a home run. Buck trying to stay away from Adam Ottavino, so he had Raley start the inning. Now Brigham. Franco runs. It's grounded right at the bag. Escobar with the step and throw for the double play. With Franco running, Escobar was right there to start the 4-4-3. CBS 880 and streaming on the free Odyssey app. Let's have the Guardians coming up this weekend. Then they go to Chicago and Colorado on the next trip. Your Verizon player profile for the upcoming series. Cal Quantrill, son of Paul, who spent 14 years in the big leagues. Pitched mostly in Toronto. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning with the Mets up 3-2. Bunch changes for the Rays. Trevor Kelly will make his first appearance in the series, side-arming right-hander. Wander Franco stayed in the game at shortstop. Taylor Walls moved from shortstop to third. Isaac Paredes moved from third base to first base. So it's Paredes, Lau, Franco, and Walls around the infield. Pete Alonso will lead off. He's already homered today, his third in this series. And now facing the sidearmer Kelly, leading off in the 8th, and swings and misses at the breaking ball. 0-1.
Well, here's your difference. Well, it's not the difference in the ball game. Give the Mets a 2-1 lead.
It was a 446-foot difference maker. Another good breaking ball by Kelly, and it's 0-2. I'll tell you what, this Rays team specializes in odd arm angles.
They do. I agree.
Just saw Jalen Beeks in his little duck wing. Now it's the side arming tosses of Trevor Kelly, and he misses inside with a fastball. 2 Kellys in the bullpen. This is with an extra E, Trevor Kelly. Last night we saw Kevin Kelly with only the 1 E. Beatty and Pham to follow, and that slider goes to the backstop. 2-2. Trevor Kelly's been with 4 different big league teams across 4 seasons. Started out with Boston, then briefly with the Phillies, last year in Milwaukee, and now in his 4th game for Tampa Bay as David Robertson gets ready for the save chance in the 9th. And Alonso getting a little better read on that sweeper, got a piece of it. Here's Spectrum 1 high-speed hitting today. Alonso has by far the hardest hit ball of the day. His monstrous home run to center field on the 4th, his 16th of the year. Leads everybody. 2-2 from Kelly, and he punches one down to first, and Paredes will take it himself to retire Alonso. 1 away.
Boy, so tough when you got a submariner like that. That's the ball's gonna run in on your hands. Boy, he just got into Pete's kitchen there. It's a tough at bat for a right-hander.
So 1 out now. Brett Beatty, who was right in the middle of the go-ahead rally for the Mets in the 6th, had a base hit to right field. Also drove in the first Met run with a ground out. He's 1 for 3 on the day. And he fouls off the sinker. 0-1.
Oh, unorthodox motion coming from Laredo here. Look how quick, and it just runs in and just saws off Pete. That happened. That's just not. It's not a fun at bat off a side armor like that. Submariner. A little easier for a left-hander.
0-2 to Beatty with Pham on deck. In the 9th, the Rays will have the top of the batting order coming up. Josh Lowe, Randy Arozarena, Harold Ramirez against David Robertson. Wound up as the winning pitcher last night after giving up a couple of runs in the 10th. That's lifted toward the left field corner. Arozarena back, and he makes the catch on the run to retire Beatty. 2 out.
Runs it down. Excuse me. Runs it down nicely.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Tommy Pham, who drove in the go-ahead run with an infield hit in the 6th. Mets have gotten fine pitching today. You know, Senga went 6 last night. McGill went 6 today. It's only the 2nd time this season the Mets have had starting pitchers go back-to-back games of at least 6 innings. And the first time it happened, it was also McGill and Senga in the opposite order back on April 7th and 8th against Miami. So that at least saves part of Buck's bullpen. And That slider missed below the knees, and it's 2-1 to Pham. Honda Sports Night comes your way tonight at 11. A full day in baseball. Get you ready for the Mets and Guardians tomorrow night. All the day's sports news on Honda Sports Night tonight and every night right here on SNY. Trevor Kelly, University of North Carolina product. Two coming, and Pham hooks one into left field for a base hit. Charging it is Arozarena. Pham's going to take a turn. He's going to try for two, and Arozarena will not make a throw. Hustle double for Tommy Pham. He saw right off the bat that it was going to take Arozarena a long time to get to that ball, and he hustled right out of the box and turned it into two.
Out in front, stayed in, able to reach for that breaker. What the heck is that thing on the foul territory there? He's hustling for the two.
So Pham's second hit of the game, and now Vogelbach will try and get him in to get the Mets some insurance. Daniels gone 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts today, hitless in his last 9 at bats. Pham at second and 2 out. And Vogelbach takes a fastball up and away, and it's 2-0. Eduardo Escobar would be next. And are they going to put him on? Apparently so. So after 2-0, Kevin Cash says put Vogelbach on. Now they'll bring up Escobar, who has been swinging a hot bat, but mostly as a right-hand batter. With that left-handed here against the sidearmer Kelly. Cal Snyder, the pitching coach, out to talk to Kelly. Nobody up behind him in the bullpen. So Escobar was 1 for 3 today and 6 for his last 12. We'll have an opportunity here to try and get an extra run in. Conversation ends. Vogelbach will leave for a pinch runner. Marcano will run for Vogelbach. When we're done here, don't forget to keep it tuned for PointsBet postgame live. So Pham at second, Canna the pinch runner now at first, and Escobar coming up. There's the splits on Escobar, much better from the right side this year.
He's starting to swing the bat better from the left side.
He had a left-handed hit to left field earlier in this game, and he takes a fastball strike from Kelly. Takes that sinker away, and it's a ball and a strike. Escobar started the day hitting just 111 with runners in scoring position. 4 home runs, 11 driven in this year. And he tries to wait on that, flicks it foul. That'll hit off the tarp, out of play, 1-2.
What is that on the field down there down the left field line?
Just some paper.
Oh, get it out. It looks terrible.
You know, it used to be there'd be paper littered all over the field and nobody would pay it the slightest mind. Now they're so pristine. And Escobar bounces that slider foul, and it's still 1-2. Robertson ready to go in the bullpen. Mets hoping to get him some breathing room. Mets have won their last 114 games when they've led after 8 innings. Last time they lost one was in September of 2021 against Washington. 1-2, and that's taken the other way, and a great stop at third by Walls, and he throws out Escobar. That saved a run. Taylor Walls with a terrific play to take a base hit away from Escobar and get Kelly through the bottom of the 8th. On to the 9th. Robertson coming on. 3-2 New York. Our shifts over to third. Starling Marte comes in to play right field. And David Robertson, who is 7 for 7 in save opportunities, will go for number 8 today.
And looking for a redeemer. He would have been the pitcher of record. He gave up 2 runs last night, but Pete Alonso's 3-run home run bailed him out. He got the W.
Might have a bigger lead, but for the play by Taylor Walls to end that last half inning.
Just a fine play by the third baseman.
Top of the batting order for Tampa Bay in the 9th. Josh Lowe's got a double and a home run today. And Robertson starts him off with a curveball, swung and missed, 0-1. Lowe doubled down the left field line to lead off the game and scored, and then he tied up the game in the 6th with a home run into the black in center field. And that curveball stays outside. A ball and a strike. Randy Arozarena on deck, and then Harold Ramirez. A tough row to hoe for Robertson. Trying to save it for Tyler McGill, who went the first 6 in solid fashion. Swing and a miss. Got the cutter, and it's 1-2. Brooks Raley worked an inning plus. Jeff Brigham got 3 outs in the 8th. And now Robertson trying to nail it down. He's ahead on Lowe, 1-2. And Lowe spends his time out. Robertson last night gave up a couple of runs, one of them earned in the 10th, then wound up being the winning pitcher. 1-2 coming. Struck him out. Got him with the curveball. 1 man down in the 9th.
I think Mr. Robertson is determined after last night. Not pleased with how he pitched last night. He's determined to save this ball game. Big one for the Mets to win.
17 pitches in that 10th inning last night. Now Arozarena takes a cutter low and away, ball 1.
Well, the big win last night. Is it a carryover? This is a start, another step. What did Pete say? A building block last night? Well, this would be the second block.
Arozarena drives one to the gap in right center. That's a base hit, and it's going to roll all the way to the wall. Arozarena can fly. He goes to second and stops there with a 1-out double.
Boy, I'll say he can fly. He was thinking triple, and the Mets are going to have to keep a very close watch on him, because he can steal third. A little hanging breaking ball, and he went right with it. Just good hitting.
So now the tying run at second with 1 out. Harold Ramirez coming to the plate. Ramirez came up as a pinch hitter against Robertson last night in the 10th inning, and had a base hit up the middle to drive in the go-ahead run. And Ramirez swings and misses at the curveball, 0-1. Ramirez 1 for 3 today, 5 for 9 in this series, and he's driven in 4 runs. McNeil trying to keep Arozarena close. He's staying right near the bag at second. And Ramirez tries to lay off. He went around. That's a big call by Chris Siegel at first base, and it's 0-2.
Oh boy, I'll take it.
That's a tough one.
I'll take it if you're a Met fan.
Brandon Lau, the on deck batter. 0-2 to Ramirez. Tapper back to Robertson. 2 out. Arozarena holds at second, and the Rays are now down to their final out. And Brandon Lau coming to the plate. Lau homered last night, 0 for 3 today. 4 for 11 in this series.
Now the Mets defensively cannot pay that. They can pay attention to Arozarena, but they can play more in their defensive positions with 2 outs.
And that curveball balloons outside for ball 1. Most important thing on a ground ball toward the hole, knock it down, keep it on the infield. And Lau bounces one on the right side. Alonso's got it. Robertson covers, and the ball game is over. And for the first time since April the 19th, the Mets have won back-to-back games, and they have won a series. Last night, the catalyst. Today, terrific pitching by Tyler McGill and the bullpen. And the Mets take 2 out of 3 from the team with the best record in baseball as they beat the Rays today 3-2.
Well, I tell you what, Tyler McGill took the mound today, and I thought it was his best performance of the season for him. 6 innings, only gave up 2 runs, and just a fine performance. The bullpen's solid for the Mets. Rayleigh, Brigham, Robertson, Pete, another home run, and the deciding run, Pham, with the bleeder down the third base line, scored McNeil from third.
Tyler McGill picks up his 5th win of the year. Robertson his 8th save. Alonso homered in all 3 games of the series. And the Mets get a much-needed series win as they come home, drop the first game to the Rays, and then win the last 2 to get back to within a game of 500. Their first back-to-back wins since their West Coast road trip in April. The